Welcome to Episode 15, Run Targeted Risk Analyses that Withstand Tough Scrutiny. Today, we build a concise, defensible way to make risk decisions that align with the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, and hold up when an assessor asks hard questions. The aim is a repeatable pattern you can speak aloud, define the decision, name the real threats, estimate impact and likelihood using evidence, choose the treatment, attach owners and dates, and file the artifacts so anyone can retrace the path. This calm rhythm turns judgment calls into documented choices that protect timelines and credibility. It is short on flair and rich in traceable detail, which is why it survives review. Threats, vulnerabilities, and plausible failure paths must match the scenario rather than a generic checklist. Write threats as actors with capabilities. A script injected into a container page by a compromised tag manager. An insider with stale elevated access. A misrouted backup to a public bucket, or a provider console role without multi-factor. Write vulnerabilities as specific openings. Missing sub-resource integrity on checkout. Broad administrator group membership. Default retention on debug logs, or unreviewed change in a cloud route table. Connect each pair with a short failure path that a reviewer can imagine without diagrams. This fuse of actor plus opening plus path is what transforms a paragraph into a testable claim. It also keeps later mitigations honest because they must break the real path, not an invented one. Estimating likelihood and impact should feel simple and consistent rather than mystical. Choose small scales, say 1 to 5 for each, and define anchors in plain language tied to evidence you can collect. Likelihood might hinge on exposure frequency, control strength, and recent observations. Impact might hinge on data sensitivity, propagation speed, and detection latency. A 4 on likelihood should mean something like control gaps observed in the last quarter and path requires no novel skill. While a 2 might mean path exists but would require chaining controls that are independently monitored. Record the reasons for each score with a citation to logs, tickets, scans, or sample changes. Scales without anchors drift. Anchored scales teach teams to grade the same way tomorrow. Residual risk depends on today's controls, so list only what truly runs and produces artifacts. Note prevention layers, segmentation, tokenization, hosted fields, detection layers, centralized logging, alert rules, page integrity, and response layers, triage queues, on-call rotations, playbooks. Avoid double counting. A control that both prevents and detects still occupies one place in the chain. Then state residual risk in one line that ties likelihood and impact after controls to the outcome that matters, such as chance of clear text PAN appearing in merchant logs remains low, with impact constrained to a single node and detection within 15 minutes by Rule X. The honesty here sets the stage for treatments that add real safety rather than cosmetic comfort. Treatments should be targeted and few. Mitigate, transfer, avoid, or accept, each with a one-sentence rationale that invokes the PCI DS objective in play. Mitigation adds or strengthens a control to reduce likelihood or impact. Transfer moves a slice of the objective to a validated provider with specific evidence in exchange. Avoid changes the design so the risky path disappears altogether. Acceptance is reserved for residual risk under a defined threshold and a short time window with monitoring. Tough scrutiny often collapses weak acceptance, so use it sparingly and only when the evidence shows the remaining risk is small and time-boxed. A good treatment paragraph sounds like engineering, not aspiration. Risk treatments only count when they land on calendars owned by people. Tie each treatment to a concrete control move, a named owner, a deadline, and a measurable success criterion. The move might be enabling sub-resource integrity on the checkout container, restricting a provider console role with just-in-time elevation, tightening route tables between zones, or turning on masked logging in a component that still writes verbose traces. Success criteria read like observations. 95% of checkout renders show valid integrity headers by date. 100% of privileged sessions originate from the broker with multi-factor after date. Or, flow logs show zero public egress from segment Y for payment tags over 7 days. Owners and dates make it real, measures make it testable. Assumptions, uncertainties, and data sources form the footnotes that protect future readers from overconfidence. State assumptions that, if broken, would invalidate the decision, such as provider iframe origin remains fixed, or tokenization service guarantees irreversible surrogates. Note uncertainties you intend to reduce, like actual tag manager update frequency or unknown rate of crash reporting redactions, and tie each to a quick investigation. List your data feeds, log queries, ticket systems, provider notices, scan exports, with the query or report name. These small admissions allow reassessment later without bruised egos. They also earn trust now because they show the team knows where the edges of knowledge sit. Conclusions must align to PCI intent, scope boundaries, and the program's promise of continuous assurance. Close the analysis with 2 calm sentences, one that restates the objective the treatments serve, and one that confirms scope truthfulness, where clear text appears, where it does not, who can influence it, and how you will prove that over the period. Add a 3rd sentence only if brand or acquire expectations alter timing or reporting. This tight close turns a technical note into a compliance-ready decision without changing a word of engineering substance. It reads like a promise you can keep. Executives need a brief decision record they can approve quickly without translation. Produce a 1-page summary that states context, the top 2 risks, the chosen treatments with owners and dates, the acceptance, if any, with a near-term review, and the single metric that will show progress first. Keep adjectives out. Use actor-action-outcome sentences and put the evidence location link at the bottom. Leaders sign faster when choices are visible, justified, and small. Assessors finish faster when the same page sits on top of the file they receive at renewal. Integration is where many analyses die, so wire outcomes into change management, training, and monitoring immediately. Add treatments to the change queue with the same rigor as a production feature. Write a short training note for whoever must operate the new control, and create the dashboards or saved queries that will track the success measures you named. If the change affects a provider boundary, open a ticket with them that requests the artifacts you will need to prove coverage at attestation time. Integration turns a good write-up into a safer environment the same week. Archive the analysis and its artifacts together so an assessor can retrace the steps without a tour guide. Store the decision record, the evidence file links, the before and after configuration snapshots, the sample logs, and the follow-up validation in one folder that carries the change identifier and the date. Add a README that lists the questions this analysis answers, the metric definitions, and the review date. The goal is to make reassessment fast and external review friction-free. Good archives are silent helpers during ROC drafting and AOC sign-off because they remove guesswork on timing and scope. To keep the muscle fresh, rehearse the pattern monthly on a small change, even when stakes are low. The repetition makes scale anchors natural, strengthens the habit of naming failure paths, and improves the quality of success measures. Over time, teams stop arguing about whether to write a risk analysis and instead argue about how to improve the next one. That is the right argument to have. It keeps the program moving and the evidence clean. Close with a 2-paragraph assessor-ready risk analysis for a pending change, enabling a provider-hosted iframe for web checkout while removing custom card entry fields from the merchant page. Context and scope. The e-commerce channel will replace local collection with a provider iframe served from a fixed origin. The merchant page will continue to load analytics and support scripts. Trigger. A project to reduce exposure and qualify for a lighter validation instrument. Threats and paths. Script injection or tag manager misuse could tamper with a container page. Misconfiguration could allow local code to collect card fields before the iframe loads. Transport errors could downgrade encryption. Existing controls. Content security policy is present but permissive. Logging captures page loads. Change control exists for major releases but not for tags. Likelihood and impact pre-treatment. 3 and 4 respectively due to active tag updates and direct collection risk. Treatments. Enforce sub-resource integrity on the container. Restrict tag sources. Require approvals and tests for tag changes. And verify iframe origin and headers on every render. Owners and dates are assigned to web platform, security engineering, and marketing ops, with a success measure of 95% of checkouts passing integrity tests by the end of the first full week. Residual risk after controls. Likelihood 2, impact 3, with continuous monitoring and weekly review. Evidence and integration. Store the provider AOC and service description next to the deployment ticket. Add screenshots of headers and origins. Retain integrity check reports and failed render tickets with outcomes and dates. Save flow log queries that show no card data posts to merchant endpoints. Training. A one-page note for marketing ops clarifies that new tags require approval and test results before publishing. Exception. Acceptance for 7 days allows a fallback to the old form only during a monitored cutover window, with logs proving any use. Alignment. The change meets PCI DSS intent by removing merchant handling of clear text, narrowing scope to page integrity and provider assurance, and improving evidence quality for attestation. Review. Schedule a checkpoint 14 days post-launch to confirm metrics and decide whether to tighten policies further based on observed results. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.